Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into this idea of being a multipreneur.
Multipreneur, huh?
Yeah, like running multiple businesses. And we're going to be using this this really interesting YouTube video as our source material.
Okay, cool.
It's from the channel Grind Success, and it's all about this guy, Alex Lieberman.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur who had this company called Morning Brew.
Oh, yeah, the newsletter, right?
Yeah, exactly. And get this, he sold it for millions while he was still in college.
Wow. Okay, so he's got a pretty impressive track record.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is what he's doing now. So after selling Morning Brew, he's basically building this whole portfolio of businesses.
It's like a mini empire.
Yeah, kind of. And he's aiming for a $10 million valuation for this whole portfolio. But here's the kicker. He's not the CEO of any of them.
Wait, what? So how does that even work?
Yeah, that's what we're going to dig into. Like, how does he find and vet the CEOs who are actually running these companies? What's his strategy for spotting those like golden business ideas? And, what are the potential risks of this whole approach? Because let's be real, every approach has some downsides, right?
Oh, definitely. And I think it's important to be clear here, right? This isn't just about seeking passive income. This multipreneur thing, it seems like it's about strategic thinking, planning, and execution.
Right, exactly. So to kind of set the stage, let's start with Alex's journey. So, after selling Morning Brew, he went through what the video calls this, like classic entrepreneur's search for meaning phase.
Oh, yeah, I know that phase. Trying all sorts of things, exploring new ventures.
Totally. Like almost a rite of passage for entrepreneurs, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. I remember early in my career, I was jumping from project to project, trying to find that one perfect fit.
Right. And for Alex, that's kind of how he landed on this idea of becoming a multipreneur. I'll admit I wasn't really familiar with that term before watching this video.
Yeah, it's not super common. I mean, it's gaining traction now, I think, as more entrepreneurs are looking for ways to diversify their impact and income streams.
Right. It's like a shift away from that traditional all eggs in one basket approach to entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And what's interesting about Alex's approach is he doesn't position himself as the CEO of any of these companies.
Instead, he's like the co-founder and the chairman.
Right, which allows him to focus on like the big picture stuff, the strategy, the vision, while other people handle the day-to-day operations.
He calls this structure a personal holding company. So for our listeners who might not be familiar with that term, can you break that down a little bit?
Sure. So basically, a personal holding company is a way to own and manage multiple companies under one umbrella. It can offer some advantages like diversified income and potential tax benefits and the ability to leverage expertise across your different businesses.
So it's not just launching a bunch of companies. There's a whole legal and financial framework involved.
Right. And of course, it comes with its own legal and tax complexities. So you got to be careful and, do your research.
Okay, so let's look at one of Alex's companies as an example. This one is called Story ARB, and it's a ghostwriting agency, but specifically for B2B executives.
Interesting niche. So he's helping CEOs and founders build their personal brands on like Twitter and LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. He mentions in the video that he has 12 clients who are each paying around $7,000 a month.
Whoa. So he's already pulling in close to $1 million a year with just that one company.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, right? Yeah. And he's projecting that Story ARB could become a $10 million business. So talk about impressive growth.
Yeah. What do you think is driving that success? I mean, beyond just the revenue numbers.
Well, he talks a lot about the importance of product market fit, making sure that what you're offering actually meets the needs of your target market.
Right. Right. It's not just about making money. It's about building something that people actually want and need.
Yeah. And he focuses on two key metrics, client referrals and retention rates.
Ah, so it's not enough for clients to just be satisfied. They need to be so happy that they recommend Story ARB to others.
And they need to stick around for the long haul.
Exactly. He's aiming for at least 50% of his clients to refer new business and for retention rates to be over 10 months. That's pretty impressive.
Okay, so we've got the business model down. Now let's talk about the people running these companies. How does Alex go about choosing CEOs for his ventures?
Well, he's got a pretty specific formula. He looks for 4 main qualities: strong work ethic, critical thinking skills, excellent communication, and most importantly, shared values.
So it's not just about skills. It's about finding people who are aligned with his vision and values.
Right. And that makes sense, especially in this kind of holding company structure where the CEOs have a lot of autonomy. They need to be able to make decisions that are in line with the overall mission.
He also mentions that he prefers humility over raw talent. What are your thoughts on that?
That's really interesting because humility often translates to coachability, a willingness to learn and grow. And in a fast-paced environment like this, you need people who can adapt and, continuously improve.
It's like they're not afraid to admit when they don't know something and are open to feedback.
Right. And that creates a culture of learning and improvement, which ultimately benefits everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the upsides of this multipreneur approach, but, let's be real, there are probably some risks involved too. Juggling multiple businesses, it can't be easy.
Oh, absolutely. Even Alex acknowledges the challenges. One of the biggest risks he highlights is dilution of focus.
Right, how do you effectively divide your time and energy across all these different ventures without spreading yourself too thin?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And honestly, it's something I've struggled with too. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're trying to manage so many different priorities.
And then there's the risk of CEO disengagement. What happens if those CEOs start to feel disconnected from the overall vision, or like they're not valued?
Yeah, that's a valid concern, especially in a decentralized structure like this where everyone's kind of operating independently.
So how do you maintain that sense of connection and shared purpose?
That's what we'll explore in part 2. Well, it's about fostering open communication, making sure everyone feels heard and understood.
Yeah, and keeping everyone aligned with that bigger vision.
Right. You need to create an environment where those CEOs feel empowered, like they're a part of something bigger.
So it's like you're a coach, not just a boss,
Exactly. You're guiding them, supporting them, but also you got to give them the space to do what they do best.
Okay, so for those of us who are kind of intrigued by this whole multipreneur path, what advice does Alex actually give in the video? Like, where do you even begin?
Oh, he stresses the importance of self-awareness.
Okay.
Like, figure out what you're good at, what you're actually passionate about.
Yeah, don't just chase trends or try to force yourself into something that doesn't feel right.
Exactly. Because, let's face it, building a business takes a lot of energy, a lot of dedication. You got to be fueled by passion, not just profit.
Totally. I spent years trying to fit myself into this mold that just wasn't right for me.
It's a common struggle, right? But it just highlights how important it is to, be honest with yourself about what you truly enjoy doing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so knowing yourself is key. What else does Alex recommend?
Okay, so he uses this phrase, and it's really cool. He says, be a magnet for problems.
A magnet for problems. What does that even mean?
Well, basically, he's saying, look for pain points, those challenges that people are facing, and then see if you can create solutions.
It's like turning problems into opportunities, right?
Precisely. And his final piece of advice is, and this is key, start small. Don't get bogged down in overthinking or trying to create the perfect business plan right out of the gate.
Just start experimenting, right? Test those ideas, see what works.
Yeah. It's a much more agile and adaptable approach, than the traditional build it and they will come mentality.
So it's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in head first.
Exactly. Gather feedback early on, validate your assumptions, and be willing to pivot if you need to.
Okay, so let's kind of break down these pieces of advice a little bit further.
Yeah.
So when it comes to identifying your strengths, where do you even start?
Well, think about the activities that you get lost in, the ones where time just seems to fly by.
Yeah, the things that energize you, right?
Exactly. Those are usually good indicators of your natural talents and passions.
And sometimes it helps to ask for feedback from people you trust.
Oh, absolutely. They can often see strengths in you that you might not even recognize yourself.
Okay, and then there's this whole idea of being a magnet for problems.
Right.
So it's not about like seeking out negativity.
No.
It's more about like having this mindset of seeing challenges as potential opportunities for innovation.
Yeah, you got to be observant, pay attention to the world around you. What are people struggling with? What are the gaps in the market?
What are the things that frustrate you personally?
Right. And then boom, a business idea is born.
But then how do you actually test those ideas without, risking a ton of time and money?
Yeah.
That's where the start small principle comes in, right?
Exactly. Minimize that risk by testing the waters before you dive in head first.
So what does that look like in practice? Like, what are some ways to test an idea without going all in?
Well, you could run a survey to gauge interest. You could, build a simple landing page to capture leads. You could even just start conversations with your target audience on social media.
So it's all about validating those assumptions, making sure there's an actual demand for what you're offering.
Right. And it's a much more, data-driven and agile approach to entrepreneurship.
It's about being smart, right? Making
Yeah.
sure there's an audience before you invest too much.
Yeah, exactly. A much more strategic approach than just kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Alex Lieberman, this whole multipreneur thing, what are the key takeaways here? Like, what should our listeners really walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest one is this whole shift in perspective. It's not just about building one successful business anymore.
Right.
It's about building a portfolio of businesses.
A collection.
Yeah. And having them all work together, right, to create this diversified and more sustainable income stream.
And it's about empowering others to lead.
Yeah.
Right. Giving them ownership, letting them really drive those businesses forward.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very collaborative approach for sure.
So if you had to pick one thing, like what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from this whole deep dive?
Oh, that's a tough one. But I think it's that idea of being a magnet for problems.
Yeah.
Like that's a mindset shift that can be really powerful.
Right.
It's about seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as as opportunities.
And what's cool about that? It's something that anyone can apply. Right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not.
It's about being curious. It's about being observant, and just always kind of looking for ways to make things better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day, just keep that phrase in mind. Be a magnet for problems.
Yeah.
And see where it leads you. You might be surprised at what you come up with.
For sure.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of multipreneurs.
Yeah, it's been fun.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.